I remember one time I go in and someone wanted their prime rib done more well, right? And I went in, I said, hey, the customer, well, I should have got the end piece. I'm like, well, he didn't. And I'm the one that has to talk to him. Well, if he wasn't well done, he should have the end piece. Okay, well, he wants it more well done. What does he do? He took the gravy or the juice and he put it on. And he goes, it's well done.
Jim Brewer. Jim Brewer.
Jim Brewer.
Jim Brewer.
It's Jim Brewer.
All right, so where do we even start? I don't even know.
Let me get rid of that. Sorry.
Why?
I don't know.
It's late night right now. It's after the Dallas show.
First show of the tour.
First show of the tour. So much happened. First of all, we came in on a Sunday night.
Flew in Sunday night. We all met up in Austin.
Staying at a
Fox Crown Habitat.
yes.
First time I've got it
Now,
right.
Joe, you're gonna say something. Joe, the whole time he's selling me hard on his best friend. With that said, Joe's like, I'm telling you, he's one of the funniest guys I ever met in my life. I'm like, all right, I get it. We're staying there. It's a cool place. He's building these cabins. I'm like, all right, Joe, I got it.
Your exact words were, you don't have to sell me anymore. I was like,
you don't have to
okay.
sell me. I already got it. Dino Jones may be the hardest I ever laughed in my life. And he had all different ages. I have my, I grew up, well, I didn't grow up, but for a long time I was living in Chester, and the kid across the street from me, can I?
Go for it.
John Michael, right?
I don't want him going back to college. He's got to stay on the road.
He's not even selling. He's selling shirts, but he's selling other things too. Like part of the club. I think he was selling beers back there. He was selling everything. Towels.
We're gonna call his mother, and I know his mother very well. And I'm like, hey, listen, he had a nice stint in school, but we're taking him on the road. He's gotta go. Too much has happened. We've all bonded too much. And the point of that story is, Dino had every age, generation howling.
Crushing. What they've built there is they literally built a bar, like a real bar, and it has kombucha.
Like it looks like a Western book. Yes.
Yeah, and they do their own kombucha.
My daughter lost her mind.
Yeah, they do.
Lost her mind.
And not like oh, we did one like jar of vats that are carbonated in a separate room. Everything there is done perfectly.
Yeah.
And that's the way he's always been since we were kids. And if you get a chance, look up Crown Fox Reserve. No, wait, Crown Fox
Habitat.
Crown Fox Habitat. Look it up. It's amazing, and you can stay there if you want. It's amazing. Besides, the comedy and all that, they're also into all these health things, and they had this Epsom salt hot bath. It was like 120. So me, John, Mike, Jim's doing Rogan. We just hung out, and then you do the hot bath, 120 degrees, which was insane. Then you go into the cold plunge.
What's the temperature in there, Dino?
Temperature is 38 degrees Fahrenheit.
30, what was it, Mike?
38
38 degrees. These bananas are jumping.
So 120 degrees to 38 degrees.
Yeah,
And we got great video.
Yeah.
Mike was power fisted. He's like,
First time Mike does it, 3 minutes. John Michael, first time 7, then he busted 10, and then
the kid.
Yeah.
The kid's at 33 degrees. He's like this.
Yeah. After that,
Dino's doing the Irish character. His face is blood red. He's like,
I'm going to tell you right now, Jim Brewer, you're a funny guy, okay? But you're not funny enough to get in my hot tub, bare knuckle, fist fight, representing the state of Florida, the Ireland, in the tour.
and then the way it all tops off, you guys, you do all this plunges, and you're drinking kombucha, and you're out in this beautiful country, and then he goes, all right, it's lunchtime.
Dino.
Yeah.
Is this how we do it at Crown Fox?
How we do it.
Tell me what you got on the grill right now.
We got some mesquite sausage. We got some jalapeno sausage. And we got the grass-fed beef steaks. Let's drizzle it with a little butter.
Boom.
Mostly to get the fire going,
Wow.
A little bit of salt.
Boom.
A little doink.
Okay, boom, boom.
Boink.
Crown Fox. Crown Fox, just like the sign says.
And you ready for this, you guys? No forks and knives.
Yeah.
No napkins.
No.
He just throws it on a wood platter.
Yeah,
cuts
while
it
it's
with
still
a
hot.
cleaver.
Get it while it's hot, damn it. He's taking the salt. Going,
Yeah, it was. I'm never going to eat steak the other way.
Me,
ever
that's the
again.
way to eat it.
Yeah, just
fresh off the slab, cut it, guys. See if you get your fingers in there, tear it
It
up.
was so good.
So then I did the Rogan podcast. If you guys haven't checked it out,
You did a long. It was like 1 to 4.
yeah,
good.
it was a long time. We went werewolves. Basically, what evil people are, they're werewolves. They're werewolves. And then the other thing, there was one thing too where I started talking about. He showed a monkey scalp someone, and I started saying, I think I could take a monkey. And I still listen. And he's trying to tell me, don't underestimate the power of a little monkey. And I gotta be honest with you. I said, I think with a little experience, I'd be willing to train to fight the monkey. I really feel that way. And I think I'd beat the monkey. He's going like this. I know you haven't heard it. He's like, first, dude, I'll train you. It's going to take 10 years. Rogan goes, it's going to take 10 years. I said, 10 years? Fight? He's like, bro, you're underestimating a monkey. He will tear. A little monkey can rip your face right apart. We got to do right away steroids.
Start training you right now.
Got to take steroids immediately if you're fighting a monkey. And we got to put you out in a night outfit. Oh, and then we went to the mothership.
Well, we went to the mothership. That was amazing. They took amazing care of all of us, man. Even when I dropped my drink and it went over the balcony.
By the way,
I thought I was getting kicked out. I really did. I was wrong. You weren't on yet. And I'm like, oh, great. I'm getting kicked out. Here we go. Mike looked at me like, what are you doing? And
Tell me what happened.
So I had like a whiskey and ginger, and I was like, oh, cool, man.
First of all, before we even do this, they already went out there. I called and said, listen, I got 5 guys. If there's any way they can come, I have 4 guys and a girl. We're staying at this place, Dino, and I got Jean Michael. I got Mike from the podcast. I got Joe Sib, and they set them up in this incredible balcony area. They're freaking out after the show because I said, like, oh my God, Theo Vaughn was right before.
He was hanging, yeah.
Who's the other? Shane Gillis is
Gillis.
right there. I was
So
like,
good.
I didn't know Shane Gillis. I'm dying. Shane Gillis,
Shane and Theo, man.
right there.
Yeah. And cool
Comedy
dudes.
crushers. Comedy crushers. Shane Gillis. Theo Vaughn crushers. So anyway,
Ron White crush.
Ron White.
So funny.
Crusher.
Long hair.
He looked cool.
Yeah, he looked really cool.
I told him he looked great.
Yeah. He looked great. But I dropped my drink, so I was sitting
Yeah,
there.
so they're sitting in the thing, and there's a balcony, and it overlooks the fit, and God.
Yeah, no, I just was when you're like, I was so stoked, and I took a sip off my drink, and then I went to put it down, and then I just fully missed where the thing was, and it just hits. And you know, like when you just see it, you're like, no! And all of the alcohol just goes over the balcony, ice and everything, straw. And I'm like, and thank God the glass didn't. I grabbed the glass, and then immediately security was on me. Like, hey. And I'm like, they're like, are you all right? I'm like, I'm so sorry I did that. And
it was funny because the guy came in and he was like, everything all right? And I'm like, I'm cool, but you might want to go check on that guy down there.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Mike was like, wait, here's a bus. Here, Joe. King. He comes a train.
Yeah. And then we go back to the habitat,
Yes.
and they start a huge fire, and then froze.
Froze. I went right
Literally.
Yeah, it was a really good. And then tonight at the Dallas show, the lead singer of Slayer showed up. It was so cool. Him and his wife were probably one of the kindest human beings I ever met. We laughed really hard. John Michael and Kid had him laughing. We were all.
We all took. You know, it's funny. Mike will post Mike, can you post the pictures of us with him? So Mike comes up to me and I'm talking to Tom and this was like
it's a lead singer.
Yeah, lead singer, Tom's singer. How do you pronounce his last name?
Araya.
Araya.
Yeah.
So Tom's there, and right away he goes. This tripped me out. I'm walking up. He goes, "Hello, sir," and I go, "Holy shit!"
Super polite.
I go, "Wow!" And he goes, "You really made me laugh tonight." And I'm like, "Can I have you say that into my phone because I want to play that to people." So then I go, and we're talking and we're shooting. You know, we're just talking back and forth. So I take a photo, And then John Michael comes up, and then Mike takes a photo. And we all took photos, and then we all go to the dressing room afterwards. And we're looking at him, and everyone's like, "Ah, dude, I'm in red. Why is it so red?" And I'm like, "Because we just took pictures with the lead singer Slayer, dude. You wanted to be in red.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Well, not only that.
Yeah.
Wow. The funniest was Mike. You said Mike bugged out. Mike was like mid-sentence and went, "Oh, God."
Yeah, because the lady was asking to settle for the merch, and I went to go find Joe, and I found him, and as I'm talking to Joe, I look over and go, and I just froze.
You
And he's
literally
like,
did.
Yeah. I didn't know what to do. I'm like, the lady merch, that's Tom Araya? Okay, cool.
And what a nice, like, he reminded me of, like, back in the day when, like, your kids' friends have, like, kind of, like, maybe a long-haired hippie parent.
Right.
And you're like,
Right.
he's cool, you guys can stay the night. Like,
Right.
you're like,
Right.
like, whose house
Just
are
don't
you
get-
at? Are you at the Mariah's? All right, it's okay.
Brian calls. Tom's like, "Hey, just want to say, there may be a cooler. I'm having them all sleep by 11.
You're all, and the
Nothing
kind of thing where
crazy.
you'd be like, you would say to your kids, hey, if he says that you can't, you're done.
None of that.
The
Don't.
nicest couple ever.
Good human being.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was really so. Meet him the other night. It was, and tomorrow we're off to San Antonio. Now later in the podcast too, Chef David Burke, and I gotta be honest with you, I know a lot of you will be like, "Wait, what am I?" This guy was so entertaining. He's been around forever, and I asked him the parallels. We had a really cool conversation because I was going into. He would compare all the chef world because he's like a top world chef.
Chef David, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Can I tell you, I'm good, but I want to personally apologize for making you wait. This was all on me. I was telling your assistant, I'd love to say, "Oh yeah, no, I got in a car accident or whatever." I personally wrote down the wrong time like a jackass, and I'm the only one who did that. My whole team was like, "Moron, is that a cattail?"
Yeah.
Or was that a cat?
I tried to get a goat for
That's
the goat boy
hilarious.
thing, but I only had a cat.
And you're a Jersey guy.
I am.
I'm shocked we never crossed paths.
Where are you from?
Well, I lived in Chester, and
Oh,
I would
that's
go
right.
to one of your places.
I had a girlfriend in Chester 5 years ago.
Get out of
Fox
here.
Chase Lane.
I've got a bunch of friends off of Fox Chase Lane. Should we is that a bad story?
No,
We're
I
moved
just
to-
don't
we-
think. I don't think there's any connection because she wasn't from there.
There's. Oh, okay.
Transient.
Okay. And where you living now?
I'm in Atlantic Highlands, New Jersey, down by Sandy Hook.
Oh, okay.
Red Bank.
That's a beautiful area.
Yeah. And we have a
I'm gonna
restaurant
be your-
in Burnersville now.
I know that.
So that's close
know
to
that.
Chester. Yeah.
Well, now I'm in Florida. Any chance you can open up
We're
near
building in
Naples?
Florida now, near Singer Island, between Jupiter and West Palm. Beautiful project.
This is on Singer
No,
Island?
it's on the marina across from Singer Island in a town near Riviera Beach. It's called Lake Park.
I know what you're talking about because every year I would go down that way, and I think I would play in West Palm
Yeah,
Beach.
so
or
it's 9
near
miles
West
north
Palm
of
Beach.
West Palm.
Okay,
So it's right on. It's on
Wow.
that
You
Dixie
really-
Highway that goes. It's a town that's getting rebuilt. It's more of an industrial town, but it's a big 330 unit condo complex called Nautilus 220, and we're gonna have a restaurant in there on the water in the marina, and a indoor golf facility similar to what we're doing at Morristown.
Oh, you're not doing in the Morristown. You're talking about Morristown. I started hearing about that a while ago. You're not talking about you're
1776.
doing your own.
Huh?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's
yes.
we do all the food for the and management for that property.
You're a beast.
Working hard.
You really are a beast.
Listen, restaurant business, you got to have a sense of humor. So
Yeah, you do.
because it's a
Yeah,
crazy
you do.
business,
I was always afraid. Years and years ago, when I would just serve, and I always, uh, depending on the chef, a lot of times I feared the chef. I did not like dealing with a chef. I remember one time I go in and someone wanted their prime rib done more
Right.
well, right? And I went in, I said, "Hey, the customer, well, I should have got the end piece." I'm like, well, he didn't. And I'm the one that has to talk to him. Well, if he wasn't well done, he should have the end piece. Okay, well, he wants it more well done. What does he do? He took the gravy or the juice and he put it on. And he goes, "It's well done." What the fuck? I'm like, okay, all right. Chefs are you guys are
Yeah.
very touchy with your art. Um,
It's
when
funny.
when it is funny, but you need a sense of
Oh
humor, and
man.
you definitely have a sense of humor.
Well, years ago, making the customer happy was really hard, but that was the challenge. Now it's making the employee happy.
Oh yeah,
So
yeah,
that's
yeah, yeah.
that.
So this is something I wanted to ask you because in your industry, right? You
Yeah.
good? In your industry, how do you because you may be part of an industry that rips off the establishment more than anyone else. And what I mean by that is I have a few friends that run restaurants and every time I talk to he's like, "Jim, these employees they're the most brilliant thieves I spend more time trying to figure out how much how many ways for them not to rip me off, whether it's through the booze or the food. Because I'll be honest with you, I worked at this really nice resort, and this is as a kid. I'm like 23. I would order filet mignon with lobster tail, and then be able to maneuver it where, like, yeah, no, they didn't like it, and then I'd go in my locker and eat the whole thing. When technically, I just ordered it for
Yeah.
myself. Like, I don't know how do you even begin do you think about that at
Yeah.
all? Like,
Well,
bringing a staff knowing they're going to care about your incredible product, your incredible restaurant, because you put an A-list thing out there, you need A-list employees.
yeah. Well, everybody's looking for the same employees. There's some things have changed with the way people order. I mean, the computer systems now that you order through, most people, 95% of them use credit cards. The managers,
Right.
anything that doesn't get sold, and like you said, there's an accident or something. Things do happen. You gotta
Yeah.
minimize them. I mean, you gotta lock things up, count things. When you give someone a good platform to make money, like a waiter, and they're working at a restaurant with a high check average, if everyone spends $100 at each of my restaurant, a waiter makes $20 a head. So in essence, a
Yes.
waiter makes more per head than the owner. The owner in a good
Oh,
restaurant
wow.
makes
Yeah.
10% of the overall thing
Mm.
because they got to pay all the bills, right? After everything's paid, if you're
Right.
good, you make 10% on the bottom. So if you do
Right.
100 grand a week in sales, maybe you make 10,000 after all is said and done and all that hard work. If a waiter works XYZ and takes home 20% of what they took in that night, they have to again give some to the busboy, so they still take home 15%. So it's a pretty good gig for a waiter that works in a great restaurant that has a high check average because each person is spending XYZ and leaving a decent tip. If you work in a restaurant where the check average is $20, which is like a diner or something, you got to work
Yeah.
five times as hard to get that same $20 out of the 100. But often in the
Yeah.
lower priced restaurants, they make more money because there's a lot of cash. People that go to a diner or a casual restaurant will pay cash, and they usually tip more than 20% because it's cash. They're not doing the
That's what I always
calculations.
do.
So a good someone in a cafe or something, they hustle for lunch and dinner. But there are very creative people that if someone wants to try and scam in like any business, they'll spend more
Yeah.
time creatively on that than trying to figure out how to get better at their job.
Isn't that fascinating?
I mean, some of
Isn't
the
it?
most
If they
brilliant
would
people
just
are some of the most brilliant
That's
some of the most brilliant people are behind bars thinking.
no, that's true. No, I know. I know. It's freaking lit. So, Chef David, when you're trying to figure out, all right, so in my industry, I go out and I'm constantly trying to create something new that they haven't seen or anything like that. So when you're opening a new place, do you still kind of stick with your format of what you do, or you try to bring each place a little something? Here's something you're not going to find in Bernardsville. Here's something you're not going to find over here in Red Bank. Here's a little something extra. And like, what is the process of trying to get to that?
That's
I would think it's exhausting at this point.
It's a
No,
good question. Yes. But yeah, I try to do that. I try to outdo myself, probably like you do when you start a new tour. So we're gonna open a new restaurant.
right?
What's gonna be new? What's the wow factor? Where's the hook? Is it a pastry that represents the Bernard's Inn, or is it something in a we have a restaurant called Orchard Park. We make a park bench out of chocolate. Is there going to be something on fire? Is there going to be something that nobody else in that community does? If we do a steakhouse, we have a steak hanging from a chain and we carve it there and it's smoked with hay. Theatrics are good, but the quality and taste of the product always has to be first. Same as I guess with you
Yeah,
with a show, you got to be able to land something, but then you can throw
right.
some bells and whistles out there we sex things up. We make something a little sexier. Maybe it's a sushi dish. Maybe it's something with oysters. And then there's something that's very hard to make that our competitors in the same town will never be able to make because they don't have the skill
S-
set. So we try to do, like, for example, we have a ravioli at Bernard's Inn that has an egg yolk in the middle and spinach and cheese around the outside. So when you cook it, the egg yolk is liquid. So you cut that open like a sunny egg, like a runny egg, and
Right,
it's got truffles
right.
and things. But that type of ravioli is very hard to make, and you need to sell what you make that day because they don't carry over. Most of the other restaurants
Mm,
won't do that because they're more formulaic and they don't have chefs of our caliber. Some do, some don't. But I'd rather put the work in during the day and execute
yeah,
and push a little harder to get that end result and that wow factor. And a lot of people don't, or they just get tired of it, or they settle. They settle and they say that's good enough. For example, if we go
right.
to Asbury Park to open a restaurant, and I find this even in Charlotte where we have restaurants, most communities you go to, and especially before the pandemic, every restaurant that's competing with each other in a 20-mile radius, they're all one's trying to be a little better than the rest, just a little better. Same price point.
Sure.
We look at everybody else's menus. What's the price? They're all trying to be a little
Yeah,
better. I'm like, let's try to be a lot better. Let's go after it.
right.
Let's come out of the gate like we're competing in New York City instead of the suburbs. Then all of a
Let's
sudden,
crush
you
them.
stretch the divide, right? And now it's like, wow, this place is really. Now it might cost you a little extra in labor and food costs and this and that for the first couple of months, but all of a sudden you started to chatter. You got the reviews. You got people are saying, wow, well, they do it over there. They do this. I had this. I had this. I had that. I had this dessert. I had this flying mango through the dining room and a cotton candy tree, and they're excited because it's that far better. And I learned that in
Well,
'85 in New York City when I was a chef at the River Cafe in the late '80s under the Brooklyn Bridge, and there was a restaurant which is now number one, still number one in the world, and usually it has been for 30 years. It's Le Bernardin, and the chef who passed away probably in the '90s, but there's still a great chef there now. But he came to New York City and started serving raw fish and beautifully designed food and broke away from the old traditional French food with the cream sauces and this and that. And he made such an impact that it lasted for. I mean, it takes a lot of work also, but
yeah,
the
yeah.
impression that left on someone that was a young chef then was incredible. And the mark he made stepping into New York from somewhere in France on the coast of France and taking that chance of saying, "Here I am, and here's what we do," was great.
So, all right, here. here's something I want to ask you. So, Chef Burke, when you're like in my industry, once the internet came out and started really getting big, you had to be a little bit more like when I started. I had to try to get on HBO or Comedy Central or something like that. Then the internet breaks out, which is good and bad, but now there's a billion competitions and there's a billion things breaking out that may not be as talented or have the depth, but now you find yourself competing. I just noticed over the years when it comes to cooking and chefs, it turned into a whole show. You had what's his name going
Yep.
bang and bang and all of a sudden it was like, oh, this is how you gotta cook now. You gotta bing and bang and throw the pan and dip the parsley and the bang.
Yep.
Now I'm opening a place. And did you find yourself in that word, like you knew, when did you feel, wow, we gotta start looking? Did you ever feel like we got to start looking this whole different way? Not just the product is good, but now we got to start getting hooks and little things here
Well,
and there because this guy's binging and banging and this guy's on TV and all that, which eventually you got on TV. But do you know what I
yeah.
mean?
Well, it's interesting. In the '70s, when I told my parents I wanted to be a chef, it was stupid, stupid. They basically called me stupid. My
Wow,
teachers, all that. It was a bad decision. Being a chef in
really?
1977, I was a kid in high school, but it was not yet even a profession. It was like being a janitor or a maid.
Wow,
It was
wow,
called the service industry. You were
right.
you worked in a hotel and you put on the rental uniform and yeah, really that's what it was. And so it's come a long way. Yes, throughout the 80s, I was a young chef. I moved to France. I studied pastry. I worked in some good places. I finally landed in New York at a great place at a young age. And I'm working in a restaurant that has the best view in the world underneath the Brooklyn Bridge, looking
Yeah.
at the World Trade Center, looking at New York City. So now I'm
Mm,
competing with a view. So my food has to look good. So I start designing food that looks Instagrammable way before Instagram. So my signature
right.
becomes creativity, presentation, culinary combinations, and wow factor. Like, wow, how did he do that? And outside the box thinking. Probably similar to what you have to do when you come up with ideas. You got to just keep writing
Sure.
down notes, figuring out how am I going to be better than that? How do I deliver this? Now, I had the experience of working in Europe at some of the best restaurants in the world, so I knew what the finesse was. How do we creativity comes in different forms. How do we take the traditional steak, potato, and veg, turn that on its side, and make it make sense and more of an artistic form? And we did that very
Yeah.
successfully. Myself,
Yeah.
Emerald, who you're referring to, the BAM guy,
Yeah.
he's a little older than me, but at the same generation of chefs coming up and starting to make noise. Before the internet, you had to get good reviews in the New York Times, certain publications, and your peers had to be the one talking you up. They had to respect you and
Ah,
recommend you to be at the James Beard House cooking. So it was a network, and you had to go out and eat. Like I had to go out and eat to see what these other restaurants were doing. I couldn't go on the internet and watch it. And we couldn't
right.
promote ourselves on the internet. So you had to
And you gotta be accepted by this
correct.
crew. It's almost like a little
You
crew. If
had
you're
to
not accepted, you're not moving
That's
up.
kind of it's similar to I guess, and your results had to be talked about. You had to, and we were
Okay.
in Brooklyn, so we weren't in Midtown where all the great restaurants were. Tribeca wasn't even a culinary destination
Right.
yet.
Not even a thought yet.
Right, there was
Right.
only Montreal. There was two restaurants down there. So you had this. Had that in my favor, and I was 26, 27. I represented the United States in the Culinary Olympics in Tokyo, which was a great honor to even be picked. And then we wound up winning two medals. So that also started some more PR and excitement around, which was becoming a brand. The David Burke
Quick
Show. Yeah.
question. Quick question. Yeah, the David Burke, Chef Burke. Are your parents alive at this
Yes.
moment? Are they now going,
Yeah.
okay, this might work out? We're going to see David in Tokyo. He's won awards. They're talking you up at the Elks
No, I
Club,
got
and
it.
now you're a
My
rock star.
father meets me in the morning. I'm packed. I'm going to Tokyo. I got like a coffin-size box full of toys, gadgets, cooking tools, all this, and we're taking it. We're
Right.
taking it on a
What the hell are you bringing, David? I'm bringing a trench
No,
coat or
you
whatever. You got
We're
pots and
going on a
pans.
TWA flight to Tokyo. It's interesting because the guy I sat next to on that flight met me
Yeah.
20 years later and asked me how I did. And
Are
I
you
swear to God,
serious?
he goes, "You were sitting next to me. We were talking, and you were." So anyway, my dad's at the River Cafe. We're taking off at like 5 in the morning. He meets me there, and he wants to tell me not to be discouraged if I lose. And I'm like, get out of the way. I said, I'm not flying all the way over there to lose. He goes, just be happy, you're invited. You know, that typical,
Yes. Don't get excited. These things happen.
just be happy you got invited.
Right.
And
Wow,
so that
this
came
is-
back, and
this
then
is
we,
amazing.
but the internet, yes, good and bad. The Food Network, yes, good and bad. The good part is they
Right.
recognize the value of what really good chefs do. And the opportunities opened up for restaurants in Vegas and branding. Steve Wynn did a great job bringing the best chefs down to the Bellagio and turning
Yeah.
Vegas into a food city, not just a gambling city. So that was a big move in the 80s, right? And then people
Yep,
said
yep.
chefs' names become on marquees, pots and pans were selling, things like that for the ones that are gifted and have a following. Now, the Food Network comes along. They help with this. The Culinary Institute of America helps with this. It becomes a profession driven by creatives, renegades, transients, knuckleheads, and geniuses, all together mixed
Yes.
up that don't want to put on a suit and tie and show up in an office at 9 a.m. Monday through Friday. There's an
Right.
outlet there
Right.
for ADHD, creative people, and an opportunity to grow without a college education or with one. If you want to work 70 hours a week, here's a pot and pan, go to it. We're going to pay you a shift
Yeah.
pay, and we're always going to need extra help because people quit, and you got to stay late. And there's HR. It's an HR nightmare in the restaurant business, especially back then. There is no HR because if you shake somebody's hand and they got a pulse and you need somebody, you're hired. It's like we need
Right.
someone to do
Right.
dishes. We can't operate. We're rowing a boat with 8 people. We need 8 people. It doesn't matter where you're from. We so
Right.
get in here and we're going to
Right.
teach you. And one of the beauties of the kitchen is you don't even have to speak English. You just have to want to work hard and be able to compute what we're doing and learn it and duplicate it and then maybe grow up the ladder. And with hard work and determination and the right tutor, you'll do good. So if you're a hard worker with a sense of direction and respectful, you can go quick. And
Yep.
but then you develop a palate, and then you learn the beauty of the business. And one of my strengths is my memory and the fact that
Yeah.
I'm inquisitive and I'm curious about why things are done. I want to know why you put applesauce with pork and mint with lamb and oranges with duck and pickles on a hamburger. So then you start learning the science behind things, the geographic, the reasons, the history, the geography, the digestive aids, the presentation. Maybe there's religion behind certain things, and all of a sudden that helps you get creative. You can't in architecture. You can't build a skyscraper until you learn how to build a house. So you got to learn the
Right.
fundamentals, and that's what happens with the Food Network. The negative part of this expansion and growth of the celebrity chef is just that. Everybody wants to be the quarterback. They don't want to learn how to throw. Right? Everybody
Right.
wants
They
to be
just
the
want to
chef.
make
They don't want to butcher. They see the celebrity in this, not realizing this is a lifestyle, and it's a hard lifestyle because the better you get, the harder you work. There's no off time for a
Right.
restaurant. And we're working
No.
holidays, weekends, at night times, 60 hours a week on your feet in 100-degree kitchens. And people, they don't teach you that on the Food Network. You don't see Giada with her cleavage and sweater out sweating.
Right? No, you're right, man. They just want to be the rock star. They see the
They
rock
want
star,
just like
and
when I was 15, I went right to the lead guitar. I didn't want to learn. I didn't even want to learn how to read
me
music.
too. Right? I don't. I want to get to the Eddie Van Halen
I want to
opening.
be Ted
I don't
Nugent
want
tomorrow.
to. There you go. Ted's gonna love that you said that. Dude, that is. I love all this too because you're people like Chef David Burke, you don't understand this. You've been around forever, and you also were a trailblazer. So I know there's part of you as you watch everyone come along and here. It's like watching young comics come along, like, oh, he's the blah, blah, blah. He's going to get his tour. He's going to get the arenas. And 3 years from now, he's going to be over here somewhere. It's just no one's going to teach him how to be. I forgot what, I don't want to give too much away, but I did come across, I was sitting at a table with a famous chef, or I'll say celebrity chef. And the more I listened to him and the more I was watching him, like he didn't do what you did. He didn't, his fingernail, he did exactly what you're describing. He made to the top, which is fine. Hey, we all get that chance. And then eventually he kind of faded away. He was like, I'm the tattoo guy, or I'm the new Mohawk tattoo guy, and I could make a chicken. I throw it against the window, and that's how I flatten it. But
the tattoo.
yeah.
So when I was a kid, growing up, if you had tattoos, either you were a biker,
yes,
an inmate, or a sailor.
Yep.
Right.
Correct.
Now you got chefs with tattoos and putting pink icing on a cupcake. I'm like, ooh.
Yes, and the earring.
But I don't know how that culture started of being, again, in the
either.
kitchens, there are renegades and transients and creatives and people that, listen, if you look at the Pope of Greenwich Village, one of the great movies of all time, right?
Of all, yep.
Mickey Rourke is the maitre d', his cousin's a waiter because no one else is going to hire him.
Right.
They can't work a real job. So it's like, yeah, put my cousin Sal, get him a job in a restaurant. Put him in the bakery.
I'm sure you got a lot of that too. That's another behind the scenes of things that I'm sure when you reach, and maybe it's too present, but when you reach certain levels like yourself, does another set of rules and people show up in your life that you kind of have to appease and you really don't have much of a choice? That's kind of a roundabout question.
No.
Okay.
In fact,
okay.
I understand the question, but it can
Yeah.
happen in New York to a certain degree. And there's always room for conversation. I've never really been involved with that, and it's kind of gone away to a certain degree, even in New York.
Yep.
But there's always, hey, you know what? My cousin's in a laundry business. He's got the meat company. Talk to, you take a conversation. We lock into our purveyors pretty solidly, and but you don't want to, everything has to be, at least for me, everything has to be what's best for the business. How are we going to do what's best for the business?
Do you, with all your restaurants, do you lock into one company for all? In other words, like, oh, we use this farmer, everyone's different.
Well,
local,
here's
like,
what
how's
we
that
do.
work?
We have one central buyer. All our chefs they put our orders into him. He calls 4 meat people, or he has 4 meat people, 4 fish people, 4 produce people. And he says, listen, we're going to be buying 5,000 pounds of shrimp, 5,000 pounds of salmon this month. What's your price this month? And they compete. So if somebody wants this, you get a quarter less, same quality, top of the line. But we want to know, we want to keep it competitive. And then we'll buy a tractor trailer load of calamari or shrimp. Not necessarily we'll commit to it. We're not going to buy it and put it in a parking lot. But we commit to that guy that we'll use this year. And he feels more comfortable in buying 10 tractor trailers because he knows we're going to buy one. and we commit for that year
Right.
at a certain price, and that's called buying power. Because we know that we also know that no one's ever going to send us an inferior product, although it happens once in a while, because they don't want to risk
Sure.
being put in a penalty box for a month. Right? If you send me shitty salmon, I'm going to not buy for you for
Right.
6 weeks, and now you're out $7,000. I mean, you're out
Right.
maybe probably much more than maybe 70,000 in sales for 4 weeks.
Wow.
So we
Okay.
can do
Okay.
that, and that way, when we need a delivery or somebody forgot something, they work for us. They want to make us happy. We're the client. Just like my customer sends back
Yes.
a steak, I'll be happy to make you a new steak. I just want you to leave happy. Whether I was right or
Right.
wrong, if it's perfect, medium rare, or well done, and we make people happy because it's
Yeah.
first of all,
I would never bring my wife,
yeah,
or if my wife goes to your restaurant, I'll never have her order a steak. I've never seen anyone she orders. I'll have it medium. It always comes back pretty much medium or medium rare. She's like, it's not done enough. I'm like, oh my
yeah,
god,
yeah.
woman, me crazy. Who orders a fillet more than medium? It's already a
Irish
crime.
girls.
Well, I think it's a little more on the German
Okay, yeah,
side,
yeah.
but that's another whole story. That's another
Yeah.
whole story. So let me ask you this. So when you're finding new places, because you've pretty much crushed everywhere you've been, what makes you, because a lot of your places you have a bunch in Jersey, right? You have okay. And then you start hitting the Carolinas. Now you're hitting Florida. What I love how the cat
He owns the
this,
place. Yeah, yeah.
I love it though. I wish my cats were here. What makes you pick it? Does someone go and pick those places for you? Like now you're going to hit Singer Island, which honestly I think is an incredible place, but it's also uh, um, a seasonal place almost to a degree.
Yeah.
So how do you look into that? Like
Well,
a Singer Island area?
most
Who hits that? You
they
or a bunch you sit down?
we just continue to do our work, our what we do, and people contact us. We don't have a scout. We don't have somebody out there looking for deals. People reach
Okay.
out to us
Okay.
because we're good at what we do, and we're honest and we're hardworking, which are two things that are pretty hard to find in the restaurant business sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we get referred by other people, or people see that what we're doing. For example, we have two more projects or three more in New Jersey. Some of them, the best way is we make a deal with the landlord or the investment group or the office tower owner, the hotelier, and they build a project for us. And we do a payback or we don't, whatever. We're the operator. We help fill the building. We help fill the hotel. We help them make money, and we hope they'll do another project with us. The idea is we want to be able to get involved with people that are ambitious and have other opportunities because we're already in bed together. We trust each other. We know, and that happens quite a bit. And that we're proud of because we know there's a lot of stress in this business and a lot of tension.
Yeah.
But we work through
Yeah.
that, and as long as we're all, there's going to be disagreements here or there because there's money involved, and there's anything that can affect the restaurant business, whether it's weather, the economy, stock market, pandemics, whatever. We get affected. We're not selling chips. We're selling
Right.
experiences,
Right.
and
It's high
and
end.
there's a ton of competition, and everybody's a critic.
Yeah.
You come in and you don't like something, you write a Yelp review. I'm sure it's the same with your shows, right?
Yes.
Someone can
Yes.
say, "Oh, it was
Yes.
great," but
Yes.
or it wasn't, and it's like they don't
Yeah.
realize how much goes into it. So even a waiter or
Right.
a hostess can deliver that bad experience. It might have nothing to do with the food.
You're absolutely right. You're 100% right. I've been into really nice places, and I'll get immediately turned off by the hostess or the host that has an attitude or looks like they don't want to be
Right?
there and all that
Yeah.
jazz. So your long term thing, because I want to. I know you're busy and you're juggling a lot here. So I want to thank you for your time, Chef Burke.
Pleasure.
You've already built an empire of your own you've already pretty much hit a grand slam everywhere you go. Do you? I think you just kind of answered it. People come to you and ask, do you, at this point, do you aspire to go further, bigger? Is this something now you're just doing for you? Like, where do you go from here? You going worldwide? Like,
No,
where's it go from
not
here?
worldwide. I don't want to travel. I mean, it sounds sexy to have. We had restaurants in Saudi Arabia. We had an opportunity in England,
I saw that. Yeah.
and
Yeah.
it's too far for me to travel. I don't want to go. I want to travel. If I go worldwide, I want to be on vacation. But to fly to Saudi
Okay. And
Arabia,
by the way, and by the way, with Saudi Arabia, you can't, I don't think you could, I don't know if you drink, but I don't think
you
you can
can't
drink
do
over
anything.
there. You
I
can't
mean,
drink.
listen. People
No,
treated me well there. It's got the infrastructure and what they're building's incredible. I don't want to fly
yep.
to work that far. We do have a project in the works in Vegas, which is a great deal for us and a good business plan. And we're in Charlotte. We're
Are you
going
allowed to
to
say what
Florida.
hotel?
Yeah, it'll be a rebuild of an old famous one, but I can't talk
Okay.
about it. But the
Okay. No worries. No worries.
the goal for me, we're doing something called goat pizza. Actually, that great.
That's what we're getting to, the goat
The goat
pizza.
goat
Go ahead.
pizza opens in Charlotte in about 2 months. That'll be the first unit of a chain, which is a dirty word, of a fast casual chain of goat pizzas we're going to be building. And that's one thing because we can sell a company like that. It's hard for me to sell what I do at Red Horse at the Bernards Inn, although we have 3 Red
Yep.
Horses. But a Marriott would buy that brand and put them in 10
Mm.
Marriotts or 10 Four Seasons.
Ah,
So the
okay.
exit strategy for us would be something like, something that can be duplicated of high quality. But for me, I'd like to build a hotel that has a cooking school attached to it in Jersey, where
Ooh, that's a brilliant
the students
idea.
can live in certain rooms. We have the core
Oh,
team,
wow.
and like the old apprenticeship program at a resort, and teach people from the ground up. They spend 2 years with us, and then be able to farm them out to the best restaurants in Jersey. Some of them being ours, and some being the other ones. And we're trying to. We have the groundwork for some of that, but again, it's not as easy. But that would be
No.
something I'd like to do in a decade from now.
Wow. That's a brilliant
Because
idea.
a
And
lot of the
I'll tell you
kids can't
why.
afford the big schools like where I went to the Culinary Institute of America, Johnson and Wales, where I have a doctorate degree. We do things with them, but those schools are 150 grand, $200,000 after a 4-year program. If you get a local Jersey
Mm.
guy that is really ambitious and talented, here's the catch 22: the best young cooks coming out of a community college in Jersey can't afford to work for the best chefs in New York City because they can't commute. You can't get an apartment in New York;
Mm.
costs 10 grand to get it started, and you
Right.
can't catch a bus
Right.
after midnight and get back there by lunch. So you're
Mm.
so close, but yet so far away. So if we can apprentice
This
them
is
and give them the skills to be able to walk into the best restaurants in New York and a little bit of cash in their pocket, then they can go work for the best in the country in New York City.
I think that I got to be honest with you. I think it's one of the most brilliant ideas ever heard, and I'll tell you why. A, I just offered my daughter before we even had you. My daughter loves cooking. She won the best chef in her school.
Oh,
Blah
good.
blah
Yeah.
blah. But at the same time, she's like, I don't know, Dad. It's a lie. I I I get so nervous every time someone's about to eat. Like she watches me like a hawk every time. Like, what are you watching? It's gonna be good. Um, and I said, I'll pay for you to go to school. So she's thinking about, but I also know another kid who's really good, but he's like, I don't know, college and my parents. And so I wonder how many people out there really do aspire to become that. And for the reason you said, they really can't afford it, or, but then, all right, so as I'm talking, I'm also going, you know what? It's something you said earlier, which I believe in too. You have to have that inspiration and you have to have that desire and you have to know you're going to bust. You're going to invest your life in hard work and you're going to do this. And because those are the only people that, no offense, cream of the crop, that truly make it in the end. But what you're talking about may inspire a lot of people to do so. I don't
Well,
know.
it gives
I've
them
never heard anything
a
like that.
runway to see if it's really what they want to do too. Right? When you go to culinary school
Right.
right out of high school and make that commitment, there is a 50% drop off of people in this business after 5 years. 50%.
Wow.
That's a big number.
What would so all right, like for instance, we'll take my daughter who's not, I got one who really wants to become one but doesn't want to work hard, and I have my daughter who works hard and she's like, I don't know. What is, let's say I want to, she wants to go into chef school. For anyone out there, what is the best way to start? What would Chef Burke tell someone young that goes, you know what, I'm really going to go for this, but where should I start? Where do I start? Do I start the local restaurant? Do I start at a culinary school? Which culinary school should I kind of start
Well,
at? What do they do?
it's a good one. And I've talked to many parents and their kids, and most of them, the idea would be this: make sure you know what you're getting into. Go get a job in a restaurant. Go work there for 6 months or a year. Before, I know it's hard to do when you're in high school, and make sure you're willing to stand up on your feet for 10 hours a day. Work the holidays.
Yep.
Miss your sister's graduation. Miss Easter.
Mm,
Miss Mother's Day.
mm,
Miss New Year's Eve. Miss
mhm,
Christmas. All that, and see how you're feeling about it.
mm,
Miss your dating life, right? The highest divorce rate, the number two highest divorce rate in America is chefs, and the number two suicide rate is chefs. So take that all into consideration before you take a leap. Now, if you do love it, which I do, and I still do, and I still love to get behind a range, then there's no other. Then it's not a job; it's a lifestyle. You,
correct.
as a performer, comedian, entertainer, if you have to work 6 gigs in a row, I'm sure you do it because you love doing it. And if you
Yep.
got to be on the road for 6 months or whatever your schedule may be, that's what you do, right? But you, as an entertainer, and the athletes and actors, the entertainment business usually allows the entertainer to take some time off, where the restaurant business doesn't. There is no off season for a great restaurant. So all of a sudden you're on this hamster wheel, and all of a sudden, if you're ambitious, like, okay, I got another opportunity in Dubai. Oh, I got another opportunity. I'm going to do it. 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 Next thing you know, how do you get off the wheel? Now there's
Right.
other methods, and there's the life work balance. And I interview people, and they're like, well, I want to be the chef, but I need a life work balance. I said, I can't guarantee that, because when somebody quits,
No.
you have to be there because I'm not going to do it. Right? So
Right.
you're taking the wheel of the ship here. So you're responsible for the course it takes. So
Right.
if you have a wife or a husband that doesn't want you working too much, you should take a corporate chef job where you're working maybe at a club or in an office building for one of the big companies like Aramark or Compass or Levy, and you know your schedule. The office is
Yep.
closed on the
Yep.
weekends. You're home by 8 o'clock at night. It's a different lifestyle, different kind of cooking, but you're still in the food business.
You know what? That was, you just nailed it. David, you just nailed it. What you just said, everyone should hear, because even just being a server, and I have a good friend I went to school with who married a chef, has his own place out in Long Island. He's never home, never ever home. So you just crushed it for anyone that wants to be a chef, ever. It's try that first. You're not going to be there for Valentine's Day. You're not going to be there for New Year's. You're not going to be there for Christmas. You're not going to be there for Thanksgiving. If you can, and it's lifestyle. I tell young
Yeah.
comics too, like, are you in it because this is your life? Or you in it because you want to wear the leather pants and the kangaroo and say, "Hey, I'm a comedian," blah, 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 or whatever I write big movies. But you're 1,000% correct. You're married to that lifestyle, and you have to. If someone's willing to come along for that ride and support you and make you better at your lifestyle, then you will thrive. But the chances of that are not very good. They're not in your favor unless you are someone like yourself. That was absolutely perfect and beautiful. I love it. I can't wait for the Singer Island one. That's the closest one to me. Although what's great is when I get to travel, I'll make sure I hit all your spots.
please
And
do.
everyone can go to your website. Everyone can go to it's chefburke.com. I don't want to mess this up.
DavidBurke.com?
DavidBurke.com.
DavidBurke.com. Yeah.
It is.
DavidBurke.com.
DavidBurke.com.
What? ChefDavidBurke.com.
Chef David, but aren't we so excited that we have assistants and all that? Because you and I in the same world, we're like, wait, what am I doing? What time is? What's my website? When am I playing Dallas? Okay, thank you.
That's true.
We got you worry about you got
you got to worry about what you got to worry about. You got to write stuff.
Yes, I tell you what. I'd love to hook up with you one day if you're ever off for a couple hours, sit down, coffee, wine, whatever, and get into more and more with you, man. It's an absolute, and I want to hear more about goat pizza.
Oh yeah,
can we hit that another time?
Anytime.
I want to hear how do you come up with goat pizza? I have a lot of questions about this goat pizza.
My business manager used to be, he's a sports agent. So the greatest of all time, we trademarked that for greatest of all time pizza maybe 7 years ago before the GOAT became, Tom Brady and this and that, blah, blah, blah. So it's got value in that brand already. And we're going to have a family-style creative pizzeria burger pasta in Cornelius, North Carolina. And that's going to be one that and it's going to have the sports memorabilia and all that cool stuff for the local teams and the moms and this and that. And also for a big bar scene for like a sports bar. And those things... we think there's a chance that we can put those in stadiums, airports, and all the other stuff.
You think I like that? I like that thought process. That's a good
formula that we can expand with, where the food isn't so complicated that we have to train chefs in different parts of the country. And that one, we write a menu that can be duplicated by young professionals and not too complicated. And not too complicated for the public, and the price point remains flexible and low enough for certain zip codes. Not everything is New York City and San Francisco and
Bernardsville.
Bernardsville, yes, which is a great town. I'll tell you, that area is beautiful.
I agree. I agree. I was there for almost 23 years,
Jersey,
and I absolutely loved it.
Jersey has some of the most beautiful parts. That area and out west and Monmouth County and Ocean County, beautiful.
So my last question for you, Chef Burke, is there an end game? Is there a retirement? Is there I look and I go, I'm going to do stand up until I can't literally stand up anymore. Am I going to do it as much? Probably not. Most likely not. I have the desire to just start traveling and living life, but I can't get away from this passion.
No, I'm in the same boat. I'm in the same boat. I think that right now I work a lot, and I think in the next decade it'll still be involved, but not as much as every day, because like you, I want to travel. I want to do other things. I have traveled many places throughout my career, but I think that you have to. But we have to build the infrastructure so that I can get out. Because the companies will still be existing. We've got leases. We've signed. I got leases that'll be in play till I'm 95, which is if I'm around. But you do have
if any of us around.
You got to take a back seat and let the other people run the company. And those are decisions you got to make now. Who's going to do that?
If your day was to end, if someone said, David, the Grim Reaper showed up and said, David, I'm really sorry. You don't have a lot of time, but it's time to go. We got to go tomorrow. You feel you accomplished everything you want to accomplish?
No, but I feel good about what's gotten done.
You'll go with a big smile.
Okay.
You're like, you know what? I did it. Yeah, good. Hey, man.
And then wherever I go with them, we're going to open a restaurant because the fire's going to be on it. We're going to do some barbecue.
I like that. I like that. Hey man, thanks for hanging out. Thanks for your patience. Thanks for all you do. Incredible career, incredible restaurants, and just I want to hang out more
Please do.
because I
Yeah,
also
I'm gonna
know
come see you one of
there's
these
this
days.
whole other side to you
I
too.
want to go see a
On
show.
Red Bank,
All right.
I'll be in Red Bank. I think in April or May. I'll let you
Oh, we
know.
got a
We'll reach
restaurant down the
out, and
street. We got two of them. Yeah.
I know
All
that.
right.
I
I'll see
believe
you
I've.
then, if not before. Thank you.
You got it, brother. Be
Happy
safe.
New Year.
Take care.
Bye bye.
Happy New Year, Chef Burke. Everyone, the guy is. I also he's really funny too, and he's just a real salt of the earth guy. He's not trying to sell you on the fame. He's not trying to sell you, that's a guy that's come from the very beginning, before it was cool to be a chef, before it was became this whole artsy thing and everyone's on Bravo and everyone has their own top chef and blah blah blah. He's been from the very beginning to build that empire, and he's just done it right everywhere he goes. Just a great individual. I highly suggest just go to the website, see what restaurant is there, and at least give it a shot. At least one. I mean, the guy is more than just a chef. He's an incredible human being, and I can't wait to crush his place in Red Bank, New Jersey. All right, you guys stay out of trouble, and we'll catch up in a little bit.
So I want to tell you one other thing too. All right, I want to address one other thing. I started last week and I said we're gonna have to learn to unite, and we're gonna have to start to recognize every single angle that they're gonna divide us, distract us, and everything else. And just we have to drop all that. It's not going to be easy. It's going to take a lot of energy, and just focus on looking after each other, and just I want to hear more about the family or your friends or issues you got, whatever, right? With that said, I want to Rogan, and I have certain things I do want to get across. I was asked to go on Alex Jones, okay? Now, when I went on there, which I highly suggest you watch, we went spiritual. I went God, my father, high spirit. He got all emotional at one point. I had never met him. I didn't know what to expect. He was super inspired, or at least seemed to be, by the whole thing. And I've gotten so many messages from all of you going, that was one of the most inspiring thing. We need to hear that right now. Wow, the world really needs this, really needs this. My wife, she found faith a long time ago. She finds it in a different way. She reads the Bible, and I'm not really good with all that stuff. But what I get out of that is being Christ-like. And to me, Christ doesn't even have a color, white, black, blah, blah, blah. I see it as a way of life. Meaning, what positivity can you bring to this table? What understanding can you bring to the table? Where can you find love, unity, forgiveness, and everything? And if you're that determined to judge someone because something they might have said, I ask you this. Are you just because I've heard, the terrible things he said. I'm not gonna debate that with you. But what I am gonna ask you is this. Were you cheering when George Bush at the World Series threw out the first pitch? Wasn't that the human being that, along with everyone else that said there was weapons of mass destruction, they said, your child, how many children were sent there to fight, to kill innocent human beings, only to later find out the weapons never existed. Nobody marches about that. Nobody, I can't care. That is just, no one cares about that situation. Would you, presidents screw up, we screwed up a war. But you're pissed and you'll turn off life and you won't listen to messages from something that's said. The ones that change things, talk to the hookers, talk to the drug addicts, talk to this financial bracket, talk to here. And that's the way we're going to get things done. And I want to thank everyone that gave me incredible inspiration. I had a guy tonight who purposely paid a meet and greet so he can come tell me, hey man, that Alex Jones interview was the humanity needs it. Humanity needs it. That is quote, end quote. Don't worry about where messages are given. Zone in on the message. And maybe, just maybe, your mind will start expanding. You won't believe everything you've seen on the television. You won't believe everything that your team leaders tell you, all the false idols. If we're going to start joining humanity, Team Human, some of us are going to have to expand our thought process. But like I said, for all of you that judge that, you're not the ones I'm trying to reach. So with that said, thanks for hanging out at Breuniverse. Okay. Later, guys.
Take a look around and what do you see? Mark the date down tonight, we'll make it history.
Hey, this is Jim Breuer, and I got my own Patreon page, and hopefully you'll check it out. Live comedy concert streamed once a month. Early access to the Breuniverse podcast every single week, and have bonus footage and bonus segments. I promise you I'm not going to let you down. Go check out my official Jim Breuer Patreon page, and I'll see you there.